What up folks, Blockhead here. Welcome to another how-to video install for the Harley Iron 883. Today we are going to be doing a coil and ignition relocation as well as a wire tuck. So last time around we did a tank lift, which is right here, about 1.5 inches. And so today, going to be doing the wire tuck, so we're going to be getting rid of all this plastic here, all the way back, and wrapping and tucking those wires up into the little spot above the gas tank in there, and also relocating the ignition and relocating the coil to the left side. The ignition will basically be sitting right there. We're also changing out the spark plug wires. So let's go over what we have in the kit. I purchased the DK Customs and Relocation kit, which comes with, there's a couple zip ties in there. Also comes with some instructions, which we'll be walking through and following. Also comes with a bracket, and it also comes with some hardware. For the spark plug wires, they send you these, which is the Pro Race spark plug wires. They're ready to install. You can also get them not ready to install, which you can adjust the length yourself, but I just preferred to, be able to throw them on there. So there's those. And then for the wire tuck, we have some twist tail zip ties, which these are awesome because you just twist them whenever you're done. And then we have some self-fusing tape. A lot of people say that if they use electric tape, what ends up happening is it ends up basically losing its adhesive properties and it gets all sticky. So this is easy fuse tape, self-fusing. It's waterproof, airtight seal, insulates, and it's got an awesome temperature rating. So the bike tends to get hot, especially above the engine. UV resistant, so it's great for outdoors. Even shows it on a garden hose here. So you guys can pick that up at Home Depot for, I want to say it was like $5, if that. I got 2 of them just in case, and then these were like, I want to say like $10. You can probably find some on Amazon for pretty cheap. So, all right, basically to get started on this, we're going to need to lift up the tank. Basically going to be taking these out. I'm going to take the seat off so I can get to the bolt that's back here as well. So I can take all that one out and raise the tank up so that I have more room to work with and getting rid of all of this stuff. So, all right, let's get to it. All right, so I went ahead and took the bolts out of the tank here and here. Also removed the seat, put that screw back in there. These are basically the tools that you need to do all that. Wrench, hex socket, screwdriver. I have a remove seat video in a link down in the description for you if you guys need to learn how to do that. The instructions basically say to disconnect the battery or the main fuse, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now since we're working with electronics. It's going to pull out like that, and then there's a little tab at the bottom here. You're just going to kind of lift upwards and pull out. See, it's connected to that tab right into that slot. So going to set those off to the side so it won't get scratched. Main fuse is going to be, I believe, in here. Pull that out. So you guys are going to want to push in on these tabs here with one hand while pushing in on that tab with the other hand like this, and then pull it out and it'll expose the main fuse. Just like that, and then that is the main fuse. So we're going to pull that out just like that. Well, that's it. Right, so after removing the main fuse, I put that thing back on there so no dust or anything gets in there. You can kind of secure that back if you want so it's out of the way. I also prop the tank up to give us a little more room to take off these black plastic pieces. So we're going to start cutting off these zip ties here and here, and then all of these as well to start removing this black plastic. Let's go ahead and do that. Be careful not to cut any wiring. Use scissors or like a X-Acto knife or something like that if you got it. Alright, so I cut through most of those. Getting those wasn't too difficult. There was some that were really snug, but just get the part of the scissors or whatever you're using underneath, turn it and snip, and they'll all pop off because they're under tension. Now that we've got all those clipped off, let's go ahead and pull it off, revealing the mess of wires underneath. Now there's going to be a little screw right there that you gotta take out. It looks like a hex. Alright, let's grab that real quick. So that screw is a T20 or a T25. Pretty easy to remove. Alright, so after that, basically it comes right off. There's another zip tie that I need to cut right there real quick, so let's do that. I missed one. Alright, comes right off, exposing the wires underneath. Lots of connections. I know that's for the headlight. This is probably for the gauge. Alright, let's do the other side. Alright, so for this side, you're going to want to make sure the lines are clear here. We're going to go ahead and undo. There's a little clip right there you're going to push up, and then you can pull out. It kind of wraps around the bottom there. Alright, so having a little trouble getting some of these wires off, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the ignition to see if we can pull this around to kind of rotate around these. So it's going to be a Torx bit, but we're going to basically start undoing this right here, and then take that out and unmount the ignition there. Alright, there she is with all of the plastic off. Was a little tricky. I basically just ended up pulling all the zip ties because a couple of them were still kind of holding the wires from around the back. Undid the ignition, which gave me some room to play up front, and then whenever you're pulling, I mean, obviously be careful. You know how much, you should have a feeling for how much pulling is too much pulling, but there's going to be a couple little plastic pieces like stuck in there, which are just little pieces like that, like the screws with the barbs, like that one as well. And so you're just going to have to kind of like pull on those until they pop out. After that, you know, just kind of slowly pull everything back. I pulled all the zip ties out one by one and slowly pulled it off, and there it is. That's the wiring harness for the most part. So let's get to relocating these beasts. Just to kind of give you guys some insight into, well, obviously you need insight because this is a how-to, but you're going to basically be kind of moving the coil, pushing this up, move the brake lines out of the way, and then you're going to want to basically be running this through kind of here. And at this point they say to go ahead and start wrapping the red wiring. I'm going to hold off on that because I think I'm going to run it over the top of the spine, but I'll figure that out real quick. Alright, so after we've got the ignition kind of draped over here where it's going to be, like I said, I'm not wrapping wires just yet. I'm going to wait till the end to make sure I know where everything's going. But at this point, we're going to start undoing the coil. You're going to need a T25 Torx bit. That's what I used previously. And you're going to basically be undoing this bracket right here, loosening it up so you can basically take it apart. After we get that out, we're going to take the coils off of the bracket. So we'll do that real quick. Be right back. Alright, so after you've got that screw out, the mounting bracket's basically going to come apart. This comes out of the right side of the bike. And you've got this kind of freed up. You're going to need to have some hex bit sockets to undo those screws as well. I'm going to go ahead and unplug this piece as well. Alright, so after taking that wiring harness out of it, you're going to unplug the wiring from it as well here. Just like that. And then we've got that off. Then you're going to take the bracket off by undoing these, or the remainder of the bracket. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Hex bit sockets. Now these are going to be pretty tight, so you can basically put it down on a flat surface and use a hex bit socket to get it started. Alright, after you've got those out, I basically put them back in the bracket so I don't lose them. And that's the coil. Alright, so at this point we've got the coil taken apart. We're going to want to take the coil harness connector and we're going to basically want to pull that back to where it's setting right here because the coil is going to go right here. After the mounting bracket is on there, kind of show you guys what that's going to look like. Mounting bracket's going to go right there, like that. The ignition is going to mount to right here, and the coil will mount to pull that back. I've already actually kind of started on it. You're going to want to undo, there's tape basically wrapping it around with this bundle of wires, so you're going to want to take that tape off, and then you're going to want to kind of carefully pull it back. There's going to be a little bit more tape as well. You can undo that tape also, and then whenever it's all said and done, you're going to want it to kind of be running right over here. Now, like I said, I think I'm going to tuck this whole wiring harness between the spine and the tank, so I'm going to wait to do any wrapping on that until I'm to that point where I see everything's like where it's running and making sure we have enough room. So, alright, since I know I have enough clearance on the wiring with the ignition, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that with the self-fusing tape that I have. Now, the directions on this basically say, Easy Fuse Tape is a versatile, easy-to-use product designed to adhere to itself. It leaves no residue when removed. Bond is permanent, waterproof, airtight, and conductive, insulating, and resists weathering. So, pretty cool stuff. You're basically going to hold the tape in position and apply a complete wrap back to itself, so it has to be touching itself, and then, weird. And it says that it secures the tape for additional wraps. So, go ahead and wrap all this wire here. Alright, so I got that wire wrapped. This tape is pretty awesome. It's the first time I've used it. It's not really sticky at all, but it sticks to itself like perfectly, so good wrap. Alright, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put this above the spine below the tank and drape it over on that side of the bike so it's ready to go. Alright, so at this point we're going to go ahead and remove the 2 Torx bolts on top of the cylinder heads so that we can mount the bracket. So let's go ahead and remove those real quick and we'll get to mounting. Oh, also, just as a disclaimer, you guys should be using blue Loctite, the savior. Harley shake, so use blue Loctite. The Loctite Blue 242. It's removable, but it keeps them from vibrating out and shaking loose. It's a savior on Harleys, yo. Alright, I've got these backed out for the most part. Whenever you remove them the rest of the way, I mean, last of the bolt. So save those. You're going to reuse them, obviously, to put the bracket back on. Alright, so this is going to be your new setup. You're going to basically use the longer bolts that they've provided here with the new bracket. That piece is going to go on the back. And you're going to put the rubber seat between the bracket tab. So it's going to be like this. Alright, so coil, rubber, bracket. You're going to have the 2 screws come through there. And this piece is going to go here, but make sure you use some blue Loctite on that. Alright, there's the coil mounted to the bracket, all said and done. Loctited little rubber piece in there facing upwards. Now we're going to attach it back to the bike. Put the cylinder screws through those, and don't forget to attach the mounting bracket or the wiring harness first. Alright, so I went ahead and wrapped this wire to the coil, and then it's all mounted to the bracket, so we're ready to go ahead and install it just like that. So go ahead and put those bolts and washers back in and go ahead and snug it down. Throw some Loctite on there for good measure. Alright, at this point we've got the bracket back on, mounted the coil, and then I also went ahead and mounted the ignition, which is pretty easy. You're just going to put that screw back there. Don't forget to put that little ring washer in between. Loctite, snug everything down. At this point, you're going to take the wiring, snug it down on there. Alright. Alright. Coil and ignition relocated. Alright, after that tightened everything down, I'm going to basically start working on the rest of the wire tuck. So what we're going to do is undo the wiring harnesses here where they all clip in, and we're just going to kind of route them over the top, and then we're going to start wrapping them with the tape from here up, slowly, little by little, getting it all together, making sure that it fits. So let's go ahead and start doing that. Alright, so wire tuck, basically you unclip all these. Like I said, I worked them back around the other side. There is a couple wires that you really can't. I'm sure if you disconnected them further down, but I'm not really going to do that. And you just start wrapping from the bottom up. Thus far I've got to about there. Every now and then I'll push them back in just to make sure that they're fitting in that channel under the tank. So far so good, so I'm going to keep wrapping them up. As you have wires basically like coming out, you're just going to wrap around them like that, and then just continue on up. So from here I'll wrap there and then splice that one off, continue up to the harnesses, and then kind of finish it off there. So, all right, it's getting there little by little. Wrapped a little more, and pretty much done with this left side. Do right there, a little bit more there, and then put the tank back down. So far, so good. All right, so at this point, we've got all the wires wrapped up. You're going to want to group all the harnesses here together so that they fit under the tank right in here whenever you go back to lowering it. Alright, at this point you're going to basically be pushing the wires back into there. Make sure you keep all the harnesses in as you're slowly lowering it. Don't force it. Make sure the hole lines up there. You're going to run your brake lines behind the ear. There, just like that. We're going to make sure none of the wires are getting pinched right there. So you've got slack in all those. And then we're going to run the bolt back through. Also, on this line here, make sure it's not touching the engine. I just pulled them up, zip tied them here, so they stay together. Alright, the bolt fits. Once again, nothing being pinched. Good there. Good for clearance there. That's it. You're done with the wire tuck. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Until next time, if it helped you out, hit that like button. And until the next one.